Have you ever stopped to think about what's really behind that digital signature you just made? Well, today we're diving deep into DAOsign. It's a technology that's trying to replace that blind faith we have with cold, hard, mathematical proof using something called on-chain attestation. So yeah, let's get right into it.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. You click a button, you type your name, but where's the actual proof? Right now, we're basically just trusting a company's private database. But what if we could shift that trust away from a company and onto pure, unbreakable mathematics? That's the fundamental idea we're going to unpack here.
And this slide really lays out the two different worlds we're talking about. On the left, you've got the old way, trusting a single company, whose servers can be hacked, altered, or just plain shut down. But on the right, you've got the goal, proof that's permanent, public for anyone to check, and locked in by cryptography on a blockchain. It's a massive shift from trusting people to trusting pure, verifiable proof.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the problem that DAOsign wanted to fix. Then we'll follow its journey from a little research project to a full-blown protocol. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the tech itself, see how it became a toolkit for developers, and wrap it all up by talking about why any of this actually matters.
All right, so let's start right at the beginning. That kind of nagging feeling you get about e-signatures, that uncertainty, well, that's exactly where the story of DAOsign begins. It all started with a search for something you could genuinely, absolutely prove.
And you know, this wasn't about just building another app for the market. This quote makes it super clear. It began as a pure research project driven by one massive question. Could you actually build a signature system that completely cuts out the need to trust any kind of middleman?
So that internal quest, it didn't stay small for long. What started as just a thought experiment quickly started to look like a real working protocol. And the goals, well, they were incredibly ambitious.
You can really see the evolution here. The initial idea was pretty straightforward, just fix digital signatures. And the way they decided to do it was super cutting edge, using crypto wallets as a form of identity. But as they were building it, they had this aha moment. They realized the potential here was so much bigger than just signing documents. It was about being able to prove anything.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is really where that simple idea gets incredibly powerful. The whole project morphed from just a signing tool into what's known as an attestation service.
So what in the world is an on-chain attestation? Well, the digital notary analogy is honestly perfect. It's a system that takes some kind of claim, like, hey, this person owns this thing, and it digitally stamps it onto a blockchain. What you get is a permanent, tamper-proof record that anyone, anywhere in the world can look at and verify that it's true.
Now this is where it gets really clever. DAOsign doesn't just hand you one piece of proof. It builds an entire chain of trust with 4 different layers. First, it proves which specific wallet did the signing. Then it proves that wallet had the authority to sign in the first place. Next, it proves the content is exactly what you think it is, that it hasn't been changed. And finally, it can link that anonymous wallet to a real-world verified identity. Every single layer locks in the one before it. It's like building a fortress of verification brick by brick.
And what's so crucial here is how flexible this thing is. The system isn't stuck giving you just one type of proof. It can spit out the raw crypto proof if you want it. It can generate a formal verifiable credential, which is kind of like a digital ID card you can carry around. It can create an NFT to represent ownership, or even just a standard old-school document that holds up in court. It's a multi-tool for trust that creates exactly what's needed for any situation.
All that power and flexibility kind of led to the next logical step. DAOsign wasn't built to be some siloed, standalone product. It was designed from the ground up to be a foundational toolkit for the entire blockchain ecosystem. Right, so this is what we mean by middleware. It's not really an app that you or I would use directly. Think of it more like a layer that sits in the middle, and other developers can just plug their own applications right into it. It's kind of like a universal adapter for trust, letting any program easily create and check these incredibly powerful on-chain proofs.
In this slide just shows how adaptable it is. It's not stuck on one blockchain. By supporting major ecosystems like Ethereum and Polygon, and even chains focused on privacy, it's not just building trust on one little island. It's building bridges for trust that span the entire decentralized web.
So, okay, we've gone through all this technical detail, but why does any of this actually matter? How does this technology change things in the real world for real people and businesses?
Well, this is no longer just some research project sitting in a lab.
The deep knowledge they got from building this whole platform is now being used to solve really complex, high-stakes problems for clients in finance, in tech, and in decentralized governance. And here is exactly where the rubber meets the road. This stuff is being used to prove, without a shadow of a doubt, who owns real-world things like property or art on the blockchain. It's securing votes in online communities, so you know exactly who's casting a ballot. From navigating tricky regulations to building brand new kinds of software from scratch, this idea of verifiable trust is becoming the central must-have feature.
I really think this quote from the team sums it up perfectly. What kicked off as just an experiment to fix a simple problem, that annoying e-signature, has now become a core, foundational building block for a much more trustworthy digital world.
And that leaves us with a really big question, right? Now that we have the tools to mathematically prove almost anything, identity, ownership, agreements, what's next? The examples we just looked at are really just the beginning. The real challenge, but also the real opportunity, is to imagine what we're all going to build on top of this new foundation of trust.